It's now time for the Wedcast, brought to you by Film Media Wedding Videography, 3-time Wedding Industry Award regional finalist. Here is your host, James. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 9, the penultimate episode of the Wedcast Series 1. My name is James, and on today's show, I bring to you Rebecca Waldron, celebrant. She will be coming on here talking to us all about the life of a celebrant, what a celebrant does at a wedding, and all the different services that they do. So yeah, she's going to be on today. We've also got Leo here in the house. He has a question for Rebecca, which is a good one you don't want to miss. So yeah, tune in for that as well. This is on this show today. And I can't believe we're now 9 episodes in. We've got one more next week. But we'll talk about the end of the show. For now, let's go straight to our guest, because I know she's looking forward to having a chat with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Rebecca Waldron, celebrant. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm fine, James. Thanks so much for asking me to be here.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. And I just really, I'm going to come across as a little bit of a noob today, so I do apologise on that. I kind of want to know more about a wedding celebrant and what a wedding celebrant is. Would you be able to start? Well, let's start with that. What is a wedding celebrant?
Yeah, okay. Well, a wedding celebrant is somebody who leads a wedding ceremony and basically makes it as personal and unique to the couple as possible. So we will write a ceremony that is full of the story of the couple and includes their lovely vows and ring exchange and all of those traditional things, you know, that people kind of hold dear from when they're little. Yep. They kind of think, I want that at my wedding. And so a celebrant will help somebody have the ceremony that they want, and the celebrant will lead it. But also they write the story of the couple, as I mentioned. It's a beautiful job, absolutely fantastic.
I bet you meet some absolutely wonderful people doing this line of work, and you're seeing them as well on their most happiest of days. You know, it really is a truly nice thing. So how did you get into this line of work?
Well, in 2012, myself and my husband, we were looking to get married then, and we didn't want religion, and we didn't want the registrar ceremony, which is just a standard template. I mean, it's a legal contract, the whole ceremony, so we didn't want that.
Okay.
And we did some research and came across a celebrant and thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So we got in contact with them, and we ended up having our wedding ceremony on a beach at Wells next to sea in North Norfolk.
Wow, okay. That's nice.
So we just walked on in our wedding finery, and we had 35 people with us, and it was absolutely wonderful. And it was after that I said, oh, do you know what? I want to do that. And haven't looked back. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds... I mean, you talk about having it on the beach, which is absolutely beautiful. I mean, we are very lucky in Norfolk. Obviously, you have moved, but we'll talk about that again in a minute. We are very lucky in Norfolk to have the beautiful beach. Obviously, where I am, I'm very near Galston. That's a lovely beach. I don't know if you know. You probably know. Isn't it with... Okay, so you say that what you do is not a legal service. Is there a different...
That's right.
Okay, so yours isn't legal. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't a legal service meant to be, you get married, you have to be married under something? Does that make sense? Like under a roof of some sort? Or is that wrong?
Well, that changed last year. So what our couples do is they go and get a simple 2+2 legal ceremony done in the registrar's office.
Okay.
If they have a registrar come out to a venue, it will be at a licensed venue,
right? And
they can go into a ceremony room. But what changed last year was that the general registrar office said the registrars can now conduct ceremonies outside.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which is great. But it's still the standard legal ceremony, but it can be outside now, and not necessarily under a covered structure so much now. So the registrars, they will still go to the venues, they'll do a health and safety check, they'll agree which areas that they will conduct ceremonies in.
Yeah.
I mean, with a celebrant, you can go absolutely anywhere. You can have your ceremony in your garden, on a beach,
nice.
in a forest, anywhere you like.
Where's the most bizarre place you've done a service?
Morrison's Cafe in Camborne.
In a cafe? Oh.
In Morrison's.
Morrison's Cafe. Oh my god! How did that come about?
Oh, I know. It was. Well, it's on YouTube. It was filmed by BBC, ITV, and BBC World News.
Wow!
And it was a couple who lived near Morrison's in Camborne, and she was quite poorly, and that was the only place that she could walk to for their first few dates.
Yeah.
And they went there and they had chicken curry and chatted away until they got chucked out of the cafe, and they had to be literally moved on. They were so engrossed in their conversation. And they decided that they would have their ceremony in the cafe on a Saturday. So, but it was really sweet actually, because they had a corner of the cafe, cornered off for them and their guests. And it was your wedding ceremony, but people were packing their bags with their jacket potatoes and their...
That's the busiest day of the week, isn't it, for your food shop on a Saturday?
It is, yeah, it is. And people were sat on the other side of the cafe, sort of eating their food and watching. I mean, but it was such a heartfelt ceremony. That's the beauty of it, is that you can actually go wherever you want to have your ceremony at the moment. But I guess that's the most bizarre place. But one of the most beautiful places I go to.
Yeah.
I go to many amazing venues.
Yeah.
In this country, but I also go to a chateau in France where I'm a recommended supplier.
In France?
And yeah, in France.
Wow.
And but make you laugh. We go over there and we turn up at the venue and it's really beautiful. But as soon as we finish the ceremony, it's back to the tent on the beach. It's not exactly a glamorous lifestyle, but it's lovely. But
I think that's really so you're a bit of an international jet setter, really, aren't you, with this business? And I think that's great, and I think it's really nice about the way, as you said, you could be on a beach 1 week, or you could be in Morrison's. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I don't think it really matters where you are, as long as you're with the person that you want to be with. And do you know what I mean? And that sounds really sentimental and cheesy, and I say that word a lot on this show, a bit cheesy, but it is. But I love stuff like that. I think that's great.
Oh, it's lovely. It is lovely, because if you have a couple that. Because couples who book celebrants, they tend to put a lot of thought into the fact that the ceremony is really important to them, and it kickstarts their day. So rather than it being sort of a bit dry and people wondering where the drink is, they're really engaged with it because the couple have so invested in the ceremony that it's very personal to them. And there are lots of really lovely details in there, such as, like the proposal and, the fact that perhaps the engagement ring was lost and there was a mad panic to find it, or, somebody almost sort of scuppered the first date and they nearly didn't get together at all. So many lovely stories, but the couple are so invested in their ceremony that it's lovely, and it is an absolute joy. You're standing with two people there who really want to be there. They're not just going through the motions of a registrar ceremony.
So, Rebecca, one of my fondest moments that we've worked together was at a style shoot at Applewood Hall. And that's where you introduced me to such things as hand fasting ceremony and sand ceremonies. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that, about what happened at the style shoot and what you showed me?
Yeah, so the hand fasting ceremony is a pagan ceremony, but in the wedding ceremonies that celebrants do, we tend to do what's called a hand tying. So it's a more contemporary take on hand fasting. Because for hand fasting, if you're a pagan, you step into a sacred circle, you call the 4 quarters of the earth, and you have all sorts of symbols and other things going on. So what I did with the style shoot was I did a hand tying, which is just where the importance of the hands is recognised and how the hands connect you. So we talked about, where the couple held their hands, they were hand to hand, pulse to pulse, and heart to heart. And then the hands are tied, and it's the significance of the hands in just life in general, but also in the relationship in terms of nurture, love and, providing. So, but the words are really lovely. So that was a hand tie. So I make those ribbons, and they're all plaited, and you can have. So these are like symbolic rituals in ceremonies, and they tend to. Symbolic rituals are there to give a slightly different dimension to the ceremony. So, like if it's sand, they're pouring different colours of sand into a vessel, and each colour means something. So it's the same as ribbons, the colours mean something. And also, when you pour sand, you pour it in layers to represent your individual personalities, and then you pour the sand together at the top, and that represents the blending of you as a couple, and because those grains of sand can never be separated, so neither will your love. Now, those ceremonies, sand-on's really good for blended families as well, so the children can take part as well. So it's really lovely, and you get this beautiful keepsake, all the different coloured sand and layers at the end.
Lovely.
You can also do like candle unity ceremonies. So it might be that you've got a candle, a big like church candle in the middle, and two taper candles each side.
Yep.
And they're alight. So each partner would take one of the lit taper candles, and that represents their individual life. And then they light the candle in the middle, and that represents their life together going forward. And they blow out the taper candles. And sometimes, the mothers of the couple will come up and light those candles as a sign that they accept the. I mean, it's quite old-fashioned, but they accept the relationship, and their encouragement and love is given to them then. But there are so many symbolic rituals that you can do. You can have a quake, which is the loving cup.
Okay.
So the couple typically it's got whiskey in it, but so the couple drink from the loving cup. So, and that goes way, way, way back in sort of Scottish tradition, really. You have the oathing stone. So couples make their vows with a big stone. They hold a big stone because oaths made by stone. That's where set in stone comes from. Promising. Promises are made and set in stone.
Okay.
There's just some bit. Next year, I've got a mandala. It's on the beach in Norfolk, and we're going to do a mandala.
Okay.
When they make their vows, so all sorts of things that you can have.
I think that's amazing. I think it really gives a lot of variety to what you do, and everyone can bring their own unique touch to that, if that makes sense. And I think that's lovely.
Absolutely.
And so, what would you say is the most popular one you do? Is it just a normal ceremony is your most popular, or would you say the things like the other parts were they? What was your most popular side?
I guess I think for my couples, I would say it's probably 60-40 in favour of having some sort of symbolic ritual, even if it's just lighting a candle for people who have passed.
Yeah.
They want some symbolism in there. But then, other people will either want a very beautiful and simply traditional service, which is lovely, or they might want no symbolic rituals at all, but they do want everybody to get up and sing.
Okay. So you do a bit of singing as well in there. Right, brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, if you're in a field and you've got 150 guests and they're all very excited, and I will say, okay, family and friends, we're now going to sing, and everybody goes, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I can't sing. But when the music starts and you hit the chorus, everybody's there, they're standing up, they've got their arms in the air, the biggest smiles, and they're singing at the top of their voices. It's absolutely wonderful.
That's a moment
absolutely
as
wonderful.
well, I bet you remember, and I bet you come home from a day like that thinking, wow, today was special.
Oh, buzzing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, every single wedding that I do, though, James, it's like, although I've got 10 years behind me now, every single wedding, it's like the first one I've done, because no couple is the same as any other couple.
Absolutely.
Their ceremony is always different because they're written they're created specifically for that couple. Nobody else has the same service, and you kind of think, oh, this is so lovely. You get really excited as a celebrant because it is just like your first wedding.
But
it's lovely.
I don't think that's just for a celebrant. I mean, obviously that part is, but I think for myself as well. Like, you could, every wedding, it's special, and I consider it an honour to be at someone's wedding. I think it's, you know, although we're getting paid to be there, it's not about that. It's about being in that privileged place for that special day. And it's a unique feeling. And, I mean, you could do, I mean, for myself, I did a wedding a couple of years back on a Friday at this venue. I'm not going to say which one. And then on the Saturday, I did a wedding again at the same venue, so literally day to day with two different couples, and it's a totally different ball game from one day to the next. You know, it's
brilliant.
Even though you're there at the same place, you're with different people, and it's the people that make the day.
Absolutely, yeah, spot on there. Absolutely.
So it is kind of, when you're there doing the wedding, it's like your first wedding each time, and I know that sounds silly, but it is.
No, it's lovely.
So I hear that you're now starting to train new celebrants coming up.
Yes. So I'm also the training director for a celebrant training organisation.
Wow.
And I'm every month I go up to the top of the Yorkshire Moor. It's a residential. It's a conference centre up there. The landscape is just beautiful. It's a bit like a retreat.
Okay. So
we go there for a week, and train new celebrants. And honestly, I kind of think, how lucky am I to be able to train people in something that I love so much? It's just incredible.
Yeah. So is that every year you do that? Once a year?
No, that's once a month.
Once a month? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you get to do that once a month. That's brilliant. So is there quite a lot of people? Is there quite a lot of celebrants that are training? You know.
Yeah, I mean, celebrancy has become much more. Well, I wouldn't say it's mainstream at the moment, but it has become much more popular. Certainly because of COVID, where couples just couldn't get hold of the registration services, because, like a lot of councils, they pretty much shut down any services that weren't sort of related to health or anything like that. So people were looking for an option in which they could still celebrate their day, and they get the legal things sorted out another time. Ideally beforehand. I'll just put that in as a caveat.
Yeah.
So celebrancy has become much more popular, and people do worry now that perhaps there are too many celebrants around. But I used to train, because my background is in HR and training. I used to train the HR managers at a college, and they would say to me, look, there's 40 of us in this room, in this college, and the county is only this big. So, what are we doing here? And I would always say to them, but people retire, they move, like I have, and or they just decide that it isn't for them. So there's always movement in whatever industry you're in. But celebrants, really, I always say to them, we don't have patches. So I might be in North Wales now, but I don't consider my area to be my patch.
Yeah.
But because we have people, people are attracted to different celebrants in the same way that they are attracted to different people in your work.
Yeah. When you said about patches of celebrants, I kind of, in my mind, I've got kind of like the greasers versus the mods sort of thing. You're in my patch, mate. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that would be interesting.
That would be. That's quite funny. Sorry, but no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and you can have like the same with myself with videography. You've kind of got there's more than myself in this area, and we all get on. There's enough here for everyone, and people have different tastes, and that's absolutely fine.
Absolutely. And honestly, if you can imagine, if one wedding supplier decided that they were going to take all of the weddings in an area, they would just burn themselves.
Yeah,
You get burnt out.
You get burnt out, 100%. So, Rebecca, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to my son Leo. He is a
Okay.
regular part of this show. He has, for the last 9 episodes, he's come up with a question for the supplier. And obviously, today is your turn. So,
Oh, good.
I don't know what he's got in store for you, but I'm going to hand over to him now. He's going to ask you a question, and then we will go from there. Hope that's okay.
Fabulous. Looking forward to that.
Has anyone ever fainted during their service?
Well, hi, Leo. Oh, well, thanks for that question. I haven't had anybody who's fainted in my services. I hate to say that, but I have had all sorts of other things happen. So, for example, one of my brides walked down the aisle with her mum, and her mum was in a mobility scooter. And as they walked down the aisle, the bride's dress got caught in the back wheel of the mobility scooter and went round and round and round inside the wheel on the axle, and they came to a halt halfway down, and she couldn't move. They couldn't move backwards and they couldn't move forwards. And Leo, I had to get the scissors out of my bag, and we had to cut her free from her mum's mobility scooter.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. How was that? What happened? Oh my God.
Oh, it was such a shame because it was such a sort of a beautiful entrance, and they just got slower and slower. And I must admit, I was thinking, oh gosh, well, it's lovely to take your time, but because sometimes people kind of gallop up the aisle, don't they?
Yeah.
But no, it got slower and slower. It just came to a halt, and we couldn't release her, and it had to be a pair of scissors to cut the dress away.
Oh my God, that's awful. She must have been so upset, poor girl.
I know. Well, she took it quite well. I mean, there's nothing else we could do. We just carried on with the service after that.
Well, the thing is, some of the trains on these wedding dresses are huge, and and they can catch, and it's an easy thing to happen. But that must have been quite worrying, but also a little bit funny.
Yeah, I think I've still got the picture of the groom and I'm not sure. I think it might have been the best man, sort of on their hands and knees trying to get this dress out. And in the end, the cry went out for a pair of scissors. And a celebrant is always got a bag full of stuff.
Okay.
So scissors, plasters, safety pins, sun cream, an umbrella. I mean, I've got a bag that is, pretty heavy because it's got everything in it I could possibly think of. So when the cry went out, because, has anybody got any scissors? I'm there going, yep, I've got scissors. You
always come prepared. Always come prepared as a celebrant.
Absolutely, you do. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I think in answer to Leo's question, nobody fainted, but I have had a few things have gone on that you wouldn't expect.
Wow. And again, you just don't know what you're going to get on a wedding day. So, yeah, that just proves the point right there. So, don't be running over wedding dresses. Yeah.
Be careful.
So, Rebecca, where can we find you online? Are you online? Are you on any social media platforms?
Yes, I have my website is whiteroseceremonies.co.uk, and I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm also on LinkedIn as well. But I normally have my phone attached to my hand, so I'm quite responsive in terms of social media and what's going on.
So you're pretty on the button, finger on the button with the old social media side.
I'm one of those ones that thinks, oh, I don't need to post every day, but if I don't, I kind of miss it.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that it kind of keeps you. I mean, we live in a world now. I was speaking to a guest the other week on the show who, when they started, it was all about the yellow pages for them. And now, obviously, we live in a world now where social media is key for any business, especially what we do. So you have to keep your finger on the pulse.
You do, absolutely. I mean, yellow pages, goodness me. I remember when they were big, heavy books.
Yeah.
And you could spend hours just looking through them if you were a bit sad like me.
Yeah.
No, just a few pages, aren't they?
They were also good for standing on and reaching for things. They were that big, weren't they?
Yeah. Absolutely, they were.
So, Rebecca, It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here today, and I'm hoping that at some point down the line we get to work together again. Although you're in Wales, you never know what the future will bring, so you never know. It'd be lovely to see you again.
I might see you in in Suffolk in that area sometime this year.
Absolutely.
You never know.
That would be nice. That would be really nice. But thank you again for coming on, and it's been a real eye-opener today to kind of hear about a little bit more what a celebrant does and all the various parts that go into it. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
No, and thank you for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Lovely to talk to you again.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Take care. All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, that's episode 9 wrapped up. Thank you, Rebecca, so much for being our 9th guest on the show. I can't believe how quickly this series has gone. 9 weeks in already. So yeah, next week my guests will be Sarah and Marty Pentney. Now, they are an actual wedding couple that I filmed with a couple of years back. They're going to come on and talk to you all about their experience in booking a wedding and what they did, where they went, and basically what it's like being a bride and groom booking and up to that point. I just think that's a really nice way to end the series. So yeah, they're coming on next week. During the speech that Marty did, he actually had a guitar. It wasn't a guitar, it was more kind of like a ukulele. I call it guitar. And he sang a little song, so I might even have a little clip from that, which is quite funny. So that's next week. Also, Leo will be back here as well for the series finale. It's going to be brilliant. You don't want to miss it. It's not on Monday, it's not on Tuesday, it's on Wedcast Day, which is obviously Wednesday. I will see you guys next week for the series finale. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you tune in. Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and filmmedia.co.uk. My name's James. I'll catch you on the flip.